UK fight fans are made of different stuff. 6:51. Here we are. Fight card's just finished. Let's talk about it. I want to talk about, when it comes to a fighter's mindset, is the old school, like, grit and grind approach always going to be the best way? Or is there something to be said in promoting purpose, spirituality, and even, gosh darn it, good old-fashioned fun? Well, the zombie fight we just watched did not provide much support for the latter. Volk's performance was outstanding. The best we've ever seen him. The sharpest we've seen him. The fastest we've seen him. Mixing up his striking with takedown attempts, so Zombie didn't know what the fuck was about to hit him, literally. But, worth saying, Zombie's takedown defense was looking much improved since working with Cejudo. Volk was just picking him apart. He came out strong with the boxing from the beginning, which we usually see more of a strong kicking game from Volk to start. And Zombie just didn't have an answer for him. It looked like it was going to be stopped between the 3rd and 4th rounds, but Zombie is as tough as they come, and there is not an ounce of quit in him. But Herb Dean had to stop it relatively early in the 4th round. Volk seems to be super old school when it comes to his training. There are 1,000 gazillion quadrillion clips of him saying grit. We're done with the accents now. Saying, like, grit it out, grind it out, from the little book of macho phrasing.
Be comfortable at being uncomfortable.
He does those legendary spider workouts at City Kickboxing where they continuously replace the sparring opponent for 3-5 rounds so that they're always fresh and you're guaranteed to reach and have to scooch right on by your breaking point. And he spends time swimming about this far from sharks to train himself to remain calm under pressurized situations. For his strength and conditioning, Volk does loads of explosive, heavy movements. We're talking trap bar deadlifts, barbell deadlifts, explosive squat jumps, and barbell hip thrusts.
Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Money line, I'ma run it every time. Give me mine, going up, need no decline. Yeah. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my ass. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Why check Castro, yeah, I need my money line. Watch out for those who surround you, need no funny kind. You can't see what's on my brain, I live inside my mind. Out of space and out of sight, you need me in my line. Need no face, don't need no phonies, no. Need no snakes, no only homies down for show. On go. Get a book and get the front and we load up and roll. I got kids, yeah, I got staff, I make a little need more. I sell records, you sell packs, not on my level, no. I'm a pop star, I'm a rock star, I'm a winner.
And for his diet, he eats about 2,500 to 3,500 calories a day across 7 meals. And though you can't be a high-level fighter and not work hard, Zombie tends to be less, like, one-track minded with his approach. He's worked with a mindset coach called Mindset Mike, who works with quite a lot of the athletes in Zombie's gym, Fight Ready, as well as high-level wrestlers and various other athletes as well. I don't know specifically what mindset Mike was working on with Zombie, but I do know what he's worked on with previous athletes, as well as some of his like well-known top tips that may have played a part in Zombie's game. He seems to be pretty creative with how he hones in on the elements of an athlete's game that is a weakness or that's holding them back, and designs really tailored exercises to help them overcome these barriers. You may have read about the crowd simulations that he's done previously with a few of the athletes from Fight Ready, but like really amped it up for Weili Zhang ahead of the second Rose Namajunas fight. They emulated this kind of negative crowd response that threw her off in the first fight so that she was ready to overcome it, and it was just second nature by this time. And though she still didn't win, she did put on a much better performance second time around. He's also worked with Kevin Holland, and we've certainly seen an improvement in Holland's wrestling, which is where Mike is the most experienced. That's where his background is, and I believe that's where he does most of his work, or at least that's how it appears from his Instagram. So let's take a look at Mike's #1 tip for mindset training. Find your why. Mike says one of the most important things you can do is understand why you're doing whatever it is that you are doing. When you know your why, the how becomes easy. This does seem to be something that joins the two athletes, but let's face it, every other person, potentially most of them in the world, this desire to provide for their family and give them a better life. Right before the first Holloway fight, Volk was caught on camera repeating over and over to himself, "I'm not away from my kids for no reason." He was reminding himself of his why. He's got a job to do. He can't let anything stand between him and providing for his family. And he's spoken previously about not caring about building a brand or leaving a legacy. His family is his only motivation. He wants to be able to look after them for the rest of their lives. For Zombie, he doesn't even get to train near his family for most of his fights, barring his fight with Ortega, or it's like, don't know if you heard of this, but there was like a pandemic and he had to stay in Korea. But most of the time, including this fight that we've just seen, he trains out of Arizona, and he's spoken about how hard it is to leave his kids behind. But the difference, the stark difference in like equipment, level of coaching, level of sparring partners, the resources available to him at Fight Ready, it's just no comparison. It's night and day. For his career, it's just a no-brainer. But as he's grown, as he's matured, he found his why. His why is not to be a champion anymore. It's to give a better life to his kids. And because of that shift, his whole perspective on fighting has changed, and that's where we've seen this evolution in his game between the old Zombie that just used to come out and swang for the rafters and this new kind of more calculated, more patient version. He says he's trying to win seconds, not simply rounds, which is where another piece of Mike's advice comes in. Focus on the next fight, the next training session, the next round, the next move, the next moment. Not on the belt or the end goal or a goal that seems too big to fathom. Break it down to just what you can control right now. And anyone can apply this purposeful mindset to their life. It's better to be driven by discipline and commitment than motivation and mood. Those things are fleeting. And Mike says whether you get your hand raised or not, purpose means you always win. Yeah. Try telling that to Zombie right now, man. Now, when we talk about having fun in training, this is where the two fighters seem to go off in opposite directions. Like I said, Zombie once upon a time was just here for the wild scraps. Do you remember his debut? That was madness. Madness. Then he took a step back, took a look at what he really wanted, and got a bit more strategic. He worked on his counter-striking. He became a better fighter all round. But he might have lost a little bit of the fun. Mike believes that the athletes that stop thinking that the only thing that makes any of this worth it is winning and actually focus more on having fun during both training and competing put less pressure on themselves, and due to that make less mistakes and actually end up being more successful. Wrestling Mindset, the organisation that mindset Mike is a part of has a really simple technique that anyone can use, hint hint, that means you, to reconnect to this enjoyment if you feel that you've lost your way a little bit. Write a list about everything you love about that activity that doesn't involve winning or results, and then look back at it whenever you feel the fun just slipping out of your grasp. It helps to reframe your mindset to see what you do as an opportunity rather than an obligation, and the weight of the world will just lift a little bit. And Zombie's head coach Eddie Cha even said that they were focusing more this time around on putting the fun back into the camp. And Zombie agrees that he has the best results when he's actually enjoying himself. And they must have to work pretty hard to get the fun back in when you're in the middle of a million burpees, weighted crunches, sled pushes, and bear crawls. Don't get me started.
Wave. Me on the beat too. Look, yeah. I pull up you deep on my niggas, consider it's pivotal. Trap through the app, make her clap it, don't cap it, she tapping it fast. I think that you know they be catching it. Standing 6 feet up, casting a shadow of niggas that talk like they bad it. They know that we got it, they talk far from actual. I make the wave so tsunami, I dare you to paddle in. The trunk steady rattling. Blowing top tier to keep my thoughts clear. I see the optim there, I'm on my shot, call a big boss. I never know the time, I'm never clocking in. Wildflower, I'm like Denzel, I've been in men on fire. I'm hot lava, you are not scarred, you are proudly. I'm a real to the cover still. Heart chill from all this talking real. Recent life feel like a highlight reel. Currently thumbing through currency, I'm from the avenue, bitch, I'ma get it regardless. I tell little baby to slide with that lotus, pull up with the garden, my guard is down till you come around trying to hold you some. Give a how you feel, I don't owe you nothing. Now you trying to make amends, I'm just trying to get the fortunes. Trying to cut my mama fortress. Pop might pull up in a Porsche. I used to be quiet, was timid. They used to catch me skipping courses. Now they snapping portrait. Hard head but never forced it. I got a pin it shine like it's supposed to. The way I deliver they pros to. My neck got a compass to know where we going. It sound like I'm stepping through portals. I'm off of that poison the devil be calling, but I just ignore it, hit for it. The task force told me God. Okay, yeah, you asked for it. Wave. The task force told me God. Okay, yeah, you asked for it. Wave.
Now I'm by no means, I'm by no means saying that Volk doesn't have fun, but it just doesn't seem to be a strategic aim of his camp. In fact, Volk's training very much seems to be based around the idea that if you put yourself through the most hell possible during training, nothing will faze you when it comes to the big night. When talking about those infamous spider sessions, Volk says it's as hard as a fight can be. You know you're going to breaking point. You know you're gonna suffer and you're gonna have to push yourself through it. I wouldn't say it was fun. You just have to listen to him talk for 2 seconds. In fact, the post-fight interview we just saw, to hear him say his MO is hard work and grinding through adversity. And when you've done that, everything else is easy. His sessions are about getting uncomfortable, getting tired, getting hit by taller opponents, getting hit by people with nothing to lose and who don't owe you anything, getting beaten up and taken down and ground and pounded, getting thrown around, but at the end of the day, getting through it. He does seem to have a very old school, cut and dry approach when it comes to getting ready for a fight, and it seems to be working. Hard work equals success, right? Maybe. He talks about everything being a battle. Everything. He calls his schedule a nightmare. Killer. All words he's used to describe a massive part of his life. It's just pure grind. And you've got to be a real warrior to not just overcome it, but embrace it. Go back for more, frickin' love it. He sure does seem to have fun when the cage door shuts, and success. So maybe he's right. Maybe camp or whatever preparation you are doing for an important event to reach your goal should be about enduring as much hell as you possibly can. Maybe fun should be reserved for the reward. Though City Kickboxing is unfairly accredited for all of Alex's success, it certainly does play a big part. One of the team's strategies that's really interesting to me is to actively stack multiple athletes on one card. Don't get me wrong, this happens because it's efficient regularly, all the time. But Coach Behrman is the only one I've heard talk about it as one of their secrets to success. He says that people don't understand the environment that it creates within the gym. It's so important for the training camp and the days before the fight, and even like backstage on the night, that multiple members of the same team are going through the same thing together, pushing each other. We all know the power of surrounding yourself with people with similar goals, similar mindsets, similar drives. It's incredibly motivating, no matter whether you're training to beat the living shit out of someone or pass an exam. At the end of a session at City Kickboxing, the whole group comes together, sits side by side on the mats in a big old circle. It sounds lovely, doesn't it? They don't tell each other stories, no. An unlucky few are chosen to step into the middle. They're doing push-ups, chin-ups, burpees, and the rest of the group does core work, taking turns, going around the athletes and counting out 10 reps of a chosen activity. Leg raises, crunches, planks, you name it, they do it. For ages. It's obviously extremely tiring, but no one pulls out. They are in it together. And they all come back the next day to do it all again. It's a community. And yes, all gyms are to an extent, but you just need to take a quick scroll on the Fight Ready Insta to see that there do seem to be a lot smaller groups around the high-level fighters when they're training. Maybe that's a good thing. Gives them more focused, more tailored instruction, care and attention. Is it as motivating? For some, maybe. For others, in fact, I'm going to talk about that a little bit more when we come to the Rob Fonchi-Overa fight, so you keep a lookout for that video. That drive that comes from the people around you who sweat with you, bleed with you, care as much as you do, cannot be overlooked. Now, where Volk seems to edge ahead of most of his opponents, most of them, not all of them, is his cognition and fight IQ. We're just going to get through it, I think. In this fight alone, he was reading everything Zombie was attempting and stuffing it. And I wanted to make sure in this video I wasn't just painting him as this like block-headed rugby lad who's all about war, just drilling and drilling and sweating and with no intelligence or strategy to it at all. He says he's motivated by these in-depth visions, as he calls them, the way he looks at fighting and understands his opponents and breaks down their movement in the heat of the moment to always be one step ahead. And he says he's always getting better at that. So anyone who steps in that octagon with him should be pretty concerned. Every month he's learning more about himself and the MMA game, and you cannot argue against that if you saw the fight that we just saw. Absolute clinic. Mindset training is creeping in more and more into the mainstream, into most fight camps, and I'm excited to see how it develops, where it goes, what new approaches we see, what the modern techniques are, and if they will give people an edge over this old school grit and grind approach. It doesn't look good, but also, you know, there's levels to it. It's not always gonna come down to mindset, and you could argue that not that Zombie didn't deserve the fight, but that Zombie wasn't next in line for the fight last night, so maybe it wasn't quite his time, which seems a shame because I don't know if he'll get another shot. But both this new kind of modern techniques and thinking about things in terms of having fun and fulfilling your purpose, as well as grit, war, killer, g'day mate. They're both mindsets after all. And I don't know which is better ultimately. Time will tell, but we can clearly see which one works for Volk. I'd love to hear about any kind of unique mentalities that you know of within any industry, any environment really. And make sure to check out the Dagestani Warriors video, as that, I suppose, is a similar kind of classic mentality, but I've also got a whole MMA mindset playlist that I will link for you. And, you know, while you're here, because you are here right at the end, give a little boop on the subscribe button, and I'll see you next time. I'm in bed. I'm not going to bed. I'm in it.